Hello. Hi. Okay. So I hope this is working. After yesterday's debacle where I don't know, somehow you do this thing for like 30 overtimes and you still don't know how it works. This YouTube strip live. But okay. Looks like it started. Then okay, that's great. And yeah, hello everyone. And thanks for coming to this I guess last session of the 300 live reading of the 300 Tang poems, which is actually 320. So very classic. Yeah, I always thought there were 300 and I read it. And then when I actually went through it, I was like, oh, the number is just like a rough, it's more of an evocative number than an actual one, right? Yeah. So today we'll be down to our last 10 poems. And yeah, it's pretty exciting, I think. Yeah, and after that, I guess once we're done with today, well, I'll go on a holiday, and then after that, I'll decide whether to do any more of these live readings. Yeah. So if you do find it useful, please do let me know, because it takes a lot of work, and often not a lot of people tune into this. So sometimes it feels like kind of a waste of time. But I do think the poems are intrinsically interesting. Just that, for example, it took me like what, I spent 50, 60 hours on this series, right? So it's a serious commitment. Yeah. Okay. But enough of future plans for now. Let's just start with this first poem. So in the camp of the sketching brush, so 筹笔意，人鸟犹疑未检书，风云常未护诸事。图令上将挥神笔，中见将王走船车。管乐有才人不舔，官章无命日何如？他年锦鲤经寺庙，良妇吟成恨有余。Monkeys and birds are still alert for your orders, and winds and clouds eager to shield your fortress. You were master of the brush and the sagacious general, but your emperor, defeated, rode the prison cart. You were abler than even the greatest Zhou statesman, yet less fortunate than the two Shu generals who were killed in action. And though at your birthplace a temple has been built to you, you never finished singing your song of the holy mountain. So this sounds like a very specific person he's describing at the temple, right? And again, it's Zhuge Liang. It's our boy Kong Ming. Is this very famous strategist from the Three Kingdoms period. Okay, so what's the context of this? I'm pretty sure he went to see the temple or something, but okay, but yeah, the context, nothing super useful. So let's look at the specific references. Okay. So this first one, these monkeys and birds are still alert for your orders, is apparently a reference to how strict he is in military discipline. Okay. And winds and clouds eager to shield your fortress. So what was that famous story he did? I think he's famous for being able to like predict the weather and like just there's this story of him like borrowing the east wind, but basically he could just predict the weather and he needed the wind to blow a certain way, and it happened. So again, it's another sign of his talent, of all his skills, right? Next, you are a master of the brush and a sagacious general. but your emperor defeated rode the prison cart. So the emperor here should be the son of Liu Bei, this Liu Chan, right? And he was, oh yeah, I mean he was conquered. He was defeated, and so yeah, rode the prison cart. Then next, you were abler than even the greatest Zhou statesman. So here, this Guan is a reference to Guan Zhong, who was a very famous statesman in the Zhou dynasty. And yeah, he was crucial in helping this specific Duke Huan of Qi to become the hegemon. So what that is that maybe this is a bit of a tangent, but it's just in the Zhou dynasty, I think this is the spring and autumn period. So by right, there is still the emperor, the son of heaven, right, who is the emperor of Zhou, but by that time he was lacking like any real power, and so instead there were several states who were sort of autonomous, and they're sort of fighting against themselves to see who would come out on top. So the official king by right is this Zhou emperor who had no real power, and the one who was actually the most powerful. So the unofficial one on top would be the hegemon. And so this minister Guan Zhong was important in helping this Duke Huan of Qi, or Qi Huanggong, to become the hegemon. So it's a huge deal. He's very famous, Guan Zhong, yeah. At least for people who study that period. So it's a very flattering comparison. Yeah. The next, so yet less fortunate than the two Shu generals who were killed in action. Okay, so these were Guan Yu and Zhang Fei. Guan Yu and Zhang Fei. So these are two sworn brothers of Liu Bei, who's the king of Shu, right? So these two are also very famous. If in the Three Kingdoms, if you read the novel Romance of the Three Kingdoms, these are very important figures, right? And Guan Yu is considered like the god of war in China. Yeah, it's a big deal. And so, and though at your birthplace a temple has been built to you, so you recall that this Wu Hou Ci, this has appeared in like 5 poems already. Just a temple dedicated to Zhuge Liang. Yeah. Then finally, you never finish your singing your song of the holy mountain. This means I'm not sure why. Okay, interesting. It's just a song that apparently he was fond of singing. Zhuge Liang was fond of singing. Yeah, but I think, and it's a burial song. But here apparently I think there's a translation error. It should be like I passed the temple built to you at your birthplace. So like I, the poet, passed by this temple, and then it's either I didn't finish singing your song of the holy mountain, or I was singing it, but I still had some regrets. Yeah, or to express my regrets. So here is the yeah, this is the Chinese. This is the interpretation, which says I sang it to express my regrets to your fate, I guess. It's pretty interesting. So again, it's the classic classic Zhuge Liang poem. Seems like it's becoming a genre all of its own. But yeah, let's see. Let's go through this again then, since we went through all the references. So let's actually look at how we feel or what this poem is trying to say. So first, monkeys and birds are still alert for your orders, and winds and clouds eager to shield your fortress. You're master of the brush and a sagacious general, but your emperor defeated rode the prison cart. So this first half is like, first three is like, oh, you're great, but it still didn't work out for your side. Then next, you're abler than even the greatest Zhou statesman, yet less fortunate than the two Shu generals who were killed in action. So it's like, again, you're great, but here's what's not so great in your life. So why is he less fortunate? I'm a bit confused there. But this can be like, without the two generals, then how could you I don't know, accomplish what you need to? I think that's possibly another interpretation. And then next, yeah. And though at your birthplace a temple has been built to you, more like I visited your temple, the temple built to you at your birthplace some years back. And I finished singing your song of the holy mountain, but there are still regrets. I think that's how I would read it. Yeah. I think definitely regret. Sure, it's hate, but I think regret or yeah, I think something like regret is the closest emotion here in this poem. And I think it's true of a lot of the other poems about him, right? It's like this super talented guy, but in the end, his cause didn't really succeed. And there's just sort of like, wow, how can someone who's so talented, like, how can he still fail? And I think, yeah, I think that's kind of the sentiment here. It's just there's some regret. And I think maybe it's a reflection of his own situation, but it's kind of vague, his own life. It's just like he finished his job going back to the capital, and then he passed by the temple. Yeah. So I think there's so many Zhuge Liang poems that this is no longer like, I don't think this adds anything substantially to it. So I'm just gonna go to like the famous critics and see anything else, or see if there's anything else worth saying. I do like the first line. Yeah, this is a good point. The very first line of like depicting his skill, where it says monkeys and birds are still alert for your orders, and winds and clouds eager to shield your fortress. Those are good lines. That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, those are good lines, Yeah. Okay. Then let's move on to the next one then. And again, this guy, this Li Shangyin, he doesn't like to title his poem. So there's like this Untitled 3, and then we have Untitled 4 later, and Untitled 5. So it took me a while to find the specific poems since he has so many untitled ones. But apparently these are some of the more famous ones. So they all have pages of their own. Okay, so Li Shangyin again, Untitled 3, not to one unnamed, should be untitled. Then 无题之三，相见时难别亦难，东风无力 百花残，春蚕到死丝方尽。蜡炬重灰泪始干，晓镜但愁云鬓收。夜隐隐觉月光寒，蓬来此去无多路。青鸟殷勤为探看。Time was long before I met her, but it's longer since we parted. And the east wind has arisen, and 100 flowers are gone. And the silkworms of spring will weave until they die, and every night the candles will weep their wicks away. Mornings in her mirror, she sees her hair cloud changing, yet she dares the chill of moonlight with her evening song. It is not so very far to her enchanted mountain. Oh, bluebirds, be listening, bring me what she says. So this enchanted mountain, like from yesterday, this is the mountain of the immortals. So this is the Peng Lai Shan. Okay. And then yeah, let's look at the specific references again. Actually, first the context. Apparently, they say this is a poem of a girl missing a guy, but it's also could be him saying he needs a job. Okay. So let's go through the specific references. So first, time was gone long before I met her, but it's longer since we parted. Okay, so I'll just go through, use these gender pronouns here, but it is possible that it's like the page says is from the perspective of a woman to a man. So then in that case, it should be him. But let's go with this translation first. Time was long before I met her, but it's longer since we parted. And the east wind has arisen, and the 100 flowers are gone. And the silkworms of spring will weave until they die. And every night the candles will weep their wicks away. Actually, this would, I think with line 5, the hair cloud, right? It does seem like it's a man to a woman though. I would read it as that. Or it could be, so this, the hair cloud has to be referring to a woman because then the Tang dynasty, this is a popular hairstyle. Just, yeah, so for women, right? So I think I have to read this. So this, at least this part has to be the woman, whether she's the narrator or the one being longed for. Yeah. So morning in her mirror, she sees her hair cloud changing, yet she dares the chill of moonlight with her evening song. It is not so very far to her enchanted mountain. Oh, bluebirds, be listening, bring me what she says. So I think the only place where there is it what forces you to have a gendered reading as to who's longing for who is this first line. So maybe I'll rephrase this and then we can look at it as a whole again now. Like this bottom part is clearly is describing the girl, right? But it could be like a self-description by the narrator. So let me retranslate the first line, okay? So time was long before we met, but it's longer since we parted. And the east wind has arisen, and 100 flowers are gone. So here it says, it was difficult when we met, and it was also difficult to part. Or it's difficult to meet and difficult to part. Yeah. And then, and the east wind has arisen, and 100 flowers are gone. I think it's like the east wind is without strength, and the 100 flowers are, yeah, wilted, right? So, and the, yeah, silkworms of spring, yeah, will weave until they die. Sure, will weave until they die. So here probably is closer to saying when the candles become ashes, the tears begin to dry. So obviously, someone is sad in this first half, right? Yeah. And they said that it's very clear that it's about some kind of longing for someone from the first line, right? So I think that is a very powerful description, 2 to 3, especially line 4. Yeah. When the candles become ashes, the tears begin to dry. So only when, yeah, presumably only when like late into the night, then, you know, the tears stop flowing on. Yeah. And mornings in her mirror, she sees her hair cloud changing. Yet she dares the chill of moonlight with her evening song. So this could be mornings in my mirror, I see my hair cloud changing. Assuming the speaker is a woman, right? Yet I dare the chill of moonlight with my evening song. It is not so very far to the enchanted mountain. So, oh, bluebirds be listening. Bring me what? It could be bring me what he says. Yeah, bring me what my lover says. I guess we don't have to force a gender reading. It could be male or female, but then that would change what the significance of these two lines with the was explicitly describing the woman, what that means. Hmm. I think actually I would read this as a man longing for a woman. So the one in the translation instead of the one suggested in the Wikipedia page. Because of this line of the here, right? Just line 5. It says in the mornings in her mirror, she only worries about her hair cloud changing. So she should only worry about her hairstyle. Yeah. So this wouldn't really make sense if she was the speaker and she was the one crying in the middle of the night. So yeah, I guess the translator was right. Yeah, okay. Hmm. Hmm. See, you said to you, it is pointing how even the most inhuman elements are alive and present, but the deceased person is not. Hmm. But I don't think this one, I don't think here the person is dead. I think it's closer just like separated lovers. Yeah. I see what you mean because you said because of the enchanted mountain, right? Which sounds like, oh, tell me how she's doing in heaven. I think this one maybe because if we see yesterday's poem is more like this the immortals. I think it's more like just saying it's just like a compliment of where she is, like complimenting her like that she's like a deity instead of saying she's actually in heaven or actually not of this world. I think so. Yeah. Or at least if we say the woman is if it's a man writing to a woman, then yeah, I don't think like this part it does seem more of a normal thing. Like if she was actually, yeah, I don't think this would be the way it's described if she sort of died. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's quite nice though. Like you said, in the inhuman elements are sort of reflecting that, right? It's like so this one should be the east wind has lost its strength and the flowers are gone, and silkworms of spring will weave until they die. So yeah, I see what you mean where you say that it's almost like even the external world is feeling this sadness, right? Yeah. Okay. Oh, you said hair cloud is too abstract. Oh, so this one is actually not this is just a historical reference. It's just because in the Tang Dynasty, there's this popular hairstyle where the hair looks like a cloud. Let me just Google that. I'm pretty sure that's right, but okay, yeah. And here it just means like a girl's hair is like beautiful, luscious like a cloud. Yeah. I wonder if there's a photo. Hope nothing weird comes up. Yeah, I guess something like this, right? I guess the hairstyles all look like clouds. I mean, they're all like huge, I don't know, blobs. Oh, so how do they make this shape? Like, that's crazy. Like, yeah, huh. It must have really long hair. I guess they have things inside, right, to keep the shape. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, but something like this, I would imagine. Mm, okay. And yeah, well, I guess for this poem, it really is just, oh, I miss my girl, which is a fine topic for a poem, but just seeing, yeah, I think the interesting part is, as you said, like the way sort of the external world seems to also be responding to this longing. And this one, I think it seems like it's interesting because it seems like actually it's not mutual. It seems like she doesn't really care about him. So I don't know, kind of I guess he's kind of simping here. I can relate, but yeah. Yeah, so that's kind of sad. Yeah, just a love or one-sided love then. Yeah. And you said, you thought it looks something that you thought it meant something that looks tangible, but it's not like clouds. Oh, that's very interesting. Yeah, wow. If it's a love that's tangible, but not really. Huh. And you say 2000 BC best hits. Right. This is very much yes, this as well could very well be a modern song. It's like, oh, I miss her so much, but all she does is like going to the club, dressing up for the club. Right, the chill of moonlight with her evening song. Actually, isn't this exactly like the same vibe as like Hotline Bling? Drake is like, oh, we used to have a thing, but now you're just you don't care about me, you're just going to the club. So yeah, since this is untitled, I would call this Hotline Bling. How do you say that in Chinese? 热线 something. Yeah, whatever. But yeah, very, very classic theme here. Yeah. It's timeless, I guess. Simping is a timeless activity. Okay, let's go through the famous critics real quick. This is interesting. It's just the first line. It's like, it's tough when we encounter each other, but it's also tough when we part. I thought this was interesting because I just wonder why it's tough when they meet each other. Maybe because she's not into him. Yeah, maybe that's why. Huh. Oh, here's an interesting comment. It says there's a lot of twists and turns in this poem. I think maybe the twist here is that she doesn't really care. Or maybe she does, I don't know. When she has the evening song. Not sure what that is meant to be, but maybe it's like a shared thing. So maybe she is thinking of him. Huh. Okay. You say history doesn't repeat, but human shenanigans do. Yeah. Very true, very true. Yeah. So then, uh, yeah, I think that's why these poems are good, right? It's like, at least I don't like the ones that are very specific to the moment, but the ones where it's more like timeless human, like emotions or just like patterns. I think that's more interesting to me. Yeah. Whereas the one where it's like, oh, this specific battle, like, or very specific political reference, like, sure, maybe that is what is intended, but then I'm not interested in that kind of reading. Yeah. Yeah. At least since this is not like an academic, like, I'm not trying to say, oh, this is what the poem means, right? I'm just saying this is what I like about it. Yeah. Okay, so maybe let's move on to this next one then. Oh, we're only at poem 3, yeah. Okay lah, I think it's fine. So next is Li Shangyin, Spring Rain, 春雨。唱卧新春白甲衣，白门寥落一多尾。红楼歌雨相望冷，朱箔飘灯独自归。远路因悲穿晚晚，残宵犹得梦依稀。日当煎炸何由达？万里云罗一雁飞。I am lying in a white lined coat while the spring approaches, but I'm thinking only of the white gate city where I cannot be. There are 2 red chambers fronting the cold, hidden by the rain, and a lantern on a pearl screen swaying my lone heart homeward. The long road ahead will be full of new hardship, with, late in the nights, brief intervals of dream. Oh, to send you this message, this pair of jade earrings, I watch a lonely wild goose in 3,000 miles of cloud. So what's this White Gate City? Well, first the context. What's going on? Okay. So he's in the capital, but he's missing his home, I think. They're not sure who, they think this is a love poem, but they're not sure who it is. Hopefully it's his future wife. Yeah. So I don't think we need to speculate who it is. But yeah, just one question is what's with this white? What's this White Gate City? Okay, so it just refers to Nanjing. Okay. So I'm lying in a white lined coat where the spring approaches, but I'm thinking only of the White Gate City where I cannot be. So this is just where the girl is. There are two red chambers fronting the cold, hidden by the rain, and a lantern on a pearl screen swaying my lone heart homeward. I imagine this is what he's seeing, where he is at. Okay, but the red building, it just means again, a very lush building, a fancy building. So usually it means where the girl lives. And this pearl, the pearl screen, it can be a metaphor for the rain falling. That would be pretty nice, actually. Yeah. Then, but basically just so setting the scene of establishing he's missing her, and also just so if he's in the rain, in the cold, kind of just staring at nothing, right? Really. Yeah. Like just staring into space and thinking about her. Yeah. And next, the long road ahead will be full of new hardship, with, late in the nights, brief intervals of dream. Oh, to send you this message, this pair of jade earrings, I watch a lonely wild goose in 3,000 miles of cloud. A long road ahead. Is it like the road there, back to Nanjing? Or, well, it could be metaphorical as well. Yeah. And then, oh, with late in the night, brief intervals of dream. Oh, to send you this message, this pair of jade earrings. And then you watch a lonely wild, I watch a lonely wild goose in 3,000 miles of cloud. So the goose can be, okay, so this is saying maybe like the goose can be sending the message. But I mean, this is a fanciful image. Like this doesn't actually happen, right? Mm. Hmm. So usually, jewelry is they say jade earrings, like just this sort of jewelry is just a way to like between like within a couple for them to like just say that they love each other. Yeah. I mean, which makes I mean it's pretty common, right? Like just a guy giving a girl some jewelry. So yeah, I think I don't know what to say. I mean, it's pretty straightforward, right? It's just he misses the girl. Yeah. Like it's like a rainy day. He's just thinking of his loved one and like wishes they could be together and just to wants to send her something, like send her a message, send her some earrings. And then just thinks of this lonely wild goose, which he also feels like he feels like a lonely wild goose. But at least the wild goose can travel between the two places. So I guess, okay, so this last part's kind of interesting. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. I say maybe life as a road, right? When you say the long road ahead, right? Yeah, I think that's quite possible as well. Just maybe they have, I mean, even if he goes back, like maybe, I mean, I don't know if it's the same girl as the last poem, maybe she doesn't even like him, right? So yeah. And maybe it's just he still has to stay in the capital for a while. So it's like he has a lot of work to do, difficult work. And yeah, maybe that's why only in the nights, then he has the time to think of her. Yeah. I don't know. I don't really like this guy's poem though. This Li Shangyin. Somehow, even though these are like very much my kind of poems, like it's just not really working for me. This one. Maybe it's just like not in the right headspace, but okay. And the famous comments, just looking through, just it says it uses the spring rain as a way to talk about missing someone. So okay. But the link is a bit odd, I think. It's a bit off. Okay, this is not very helpful. Yeah. I feel like just moving on now. I'm not really feeling this poem. Let's see what you think. It is straightforward. I think the wild goose represents the freedom he doesn't have to go back. Yeah, well, that's great. Yeah, pretty much, right? Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, actually, yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, so it's pretty straightforward then. It's just, I think this does pair with what Jose was saying about the long road. It's just because he has his own responsibilities. So, uh, yeah. So long road as a metaphor here. Okay, yeah, it's pretty straightforward then. Then why don't we move on to the next ones? So these actually there are two poems. There are a set of two untitled poems. So I think, let's see, should we read them together or apart? Well, why don't we read them one by one then, since the famous critics are split by poem as well. So let's go to this first one then. Should we untitled? I mean, actually, this number doesn't really make. It's just within the context of the collection, but I'm by right, since it's a set of two, this should be untitled 1, and the other one is untitled 2. Yeah, but I'll just go with the numbering. Untitled 4, 无题之四. So, 凤尾香罗博几种 or 虫. Let me start again. Okay. 凤尾香罗博几重，碧纹圆顶夜生凤。善才月或修难烟眼，车走雷声雨未通，从事寂寥津近岸，断无消息时流红，班追只系垂杨岸，何处西南任好风。A faint phoenix tail gauze, fragrant and doubled, lines your green canopy, close for the night. Will your shy face peer round a moon-shaped fan, and your voice be heard hushing the rattle of my carriage? It is quiet and quiet where your gold lamp dies. How far can a pomegranate blossom whisper? I will tether my horse to a river willow and wait for the will of the southwest wind. Okay, so this is kind of nice. I like this line. Will your shy face peer around a moon-shaped fan, and your voice be heard hushing the rattle of my carriage? Okay, maybe let's just look at the context. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. It's just a love poem. So let's just look at that. Okay, any specific references here? So again, a faint phoenix tail gauze, fragrant and doubled. So for this is just what is this? Oh, it's a thing on it's like you know how those like fancy bids have like, oh god, this is all PG, right? It's just this like weird like, okay, that's not very PG. Geez, okay, don't trust Google Images, but it's just like this like sheet along the bed, like those fancy beds, they have like sheets, I guess, just to like, it's just to like block the mosquitoes and things like that. But yeah, basically it's just there's that thing, the gauze, I guess, which is, yeah, has phoenix patterns and it's fragrant and there's like several layers. Okay, right, and that's what it means. It lines your green canopy closed for the night. Well, this is a very, I don't know, this is very forward of him, right? He's like imagining her in bed. That's kind of, yeah, that's very intimate thing to open with, let's say. Yeah. And next, will your shy face peer round a moon-shaped fan, and your voice be heard hushing the rattle of my carriage? Okay. So I guess this, but they only meet outside, is it? Right. So it starts with this very intimate thing, and then it suddenly goes out to this very like public thing. But like they're not really able to, I guess they have to be sort of discreet when they're in public. Yeah. And then next, it is quiet and quiet where your gold lamp dies. How far can a pomegranate blossom whisper? Huh. What? What? What's going on? Um, what? Uh, okay. So I mean the gold lamp dies is just late in the night, right? And then okay, so okay. I think this is a bit, the English is a bit too literary. I think it literally says you haven't contacted me, and now the pomegranate blossoms have already turned red. Yeah. And actually the line before it's, we used to whisper, we used to like spend time together until the gold lamp goes dark. So it's like they used to have a thing, right? And then now she's sort of ghosting him. Relatable. Okay. And then next, finally, yeah, what's with this horse and everything? So I will tether my horse to a river willow and wait for the will of the southwest wind. So I think the southwest wind is her reaching out to him, right? I think that's what's going on. And it's just I guess he'll literally hold his horses, right? He'll like, I'm just gonna wait and see if you're gonna reach out. Am I just projecting? But like, what? This sounds very relatable. Um, you say it feels more like a letter than a poem. Yeah, it does feel very like, I don't know, it feels like it's very specific and also like it's a bit too personal. Like this is not something like if this was like a public thing, it would be very weird or like imagine someone made some said something like this on a Facebook post, which I guess is kind of common, right? It's like, oh, we used to have such good times together, but you stopped talking to me. So I'm just gonna wait till you reach out. I can very much see someone posting that. Yeah. I think the first part is very personal though. It's like he's like thinking of her in bed, and then he says, and line 5, it says like they used to spend a lot of time together till the lamp goes dark. So this has to be at night, right? Presumably at her bed. So it's very interesting. It's very, I think, very intimate. Yeah, I think he has. I really do think he's. I mean, it's translated as though it's written directly to her, even though I mean in the Chinese there is no you explicitly, but I agree that this is written to her as well. Yeah, yeah. But is that true? I mean, if he says, I'm not gonna contact you, like I'll wait for you to reply, but he is actually writing this, right? If he's writing this to her, he's not actually doing that. It's like, okay, a lot of pop culture references today, but it's like in the office when like Michael he's negotiating with the dude, and then he's like, oh, you shouldn't speak first because it the one who speaks last has the advantage. But then they just both sit in silence, and then Michael just he just whispers like, I decline to speak first, which is like, but it's still him speaking first, right? So here I'm kind of wondering, so maybe he doesn't really mean it when he says, I'm just waiting for you. I mean, he doesn't, I guess he is saying like, I'm waiting for the wind to come, right? So he's saying, I'm waiting for your interest to come my way again. So not that he won't reach out first, but he's saying, I'm just gonna I won't make a move until you become interested again. I think that's what he's saying. Interesting. Hmm. You say CGI mosquito screens. Right. Yeah, the mosquito screens is this first part, right? This gauze. Yeah. Hmm. Interesting. I think uh let's see. Why not let's go to look at some famous critics and then we can go to part 2, see if anything happens, develops in the story. Okay. This is slightly, there's a slight sense of begrudging or like annoyance here. I think I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. Oh, this is really interesting because it says, so even though he's talking about the woman that he misses, but it's like she can be thought of, she can be missed but cannot be seen. And you see, it doesn't actually describe her face, right? Her face is like hidden behind a fan. That's really interesting. So all he describes of her is, you know, I mean, her place, her face just a little behind the fan, and maybe her voice very soft. So that's really interesting. It's keeping this sense of, I guess maybe emphasizing the distance almost. That's really interesting. Wow. Very good comment there. Okay. Maybe let's look at this next part then. Untitled 5, 无题之舞. 重为身下莫愁堂，卧后清宵细细长。神女生涯原是梦，小姑之处本无郎。风波不幸菱之弱，月露谁教桂叶香？直到相思了无益，为防愁肠是青黄。There are many curtains in your carefree house, where rapture lasts the whole night long. What are the lives of angels but dreams, if they take no lovers into their rooms? Storms are ravishing the nut horns, moon dew sweetening cinnamon leaves. I know well enough naught can come of this union, yet how it serves to ease my heart. Wow, I know well enough naught can come of this union. What's going on? Well, this looks very... This seems pretty intense. um, so again, he's starting with her bid again, right? Or I don't think... Okay, I think he is talking about sex. Okay, so this first one, there are many curtains in your carefree house. And then right, then I'm not sure how to translate this. So after we lie, or after lying down, the the clear night is lasts really long, right? But I mean, this has to be about sex, right? Yo, this guy is... Wow, I'm not sure you should be saying this in public. Like this... Like, good thing he didn't name the girl. That'll be not very cool, not very gentlemanly. Okay. And then next, what are the lives of angels but dreams? Okay, lives. Angels here is like a magic girl, literally. More like immortal maid, even. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's just like, yeah, but she's saying she's kind of divine, but I guess kind of mysterious, maybe. But yeah, so what are the lives of immortals but dreams? I don't think this is right. This can't be the translation. Okay. It says, It says the place where the girl lives, the place where the girl lives is originally without a man, right? I don't think this is a good translation. Okay, let's okay. What are the first four again? First four lines. Okay, there are many curtains in your carefree house. After lying down, the clear night uh is is it lasts pretty long. I guess the clearness of the night lasts for a long time. Yeah. Then okay, what are the lives of immortals but dreams? Uh or the lives of immortals are but dreams. And then next, the place where the young girl lives is originally without a man. I mean, I do think he's talking about sex, but not so explicitly, right? Okay. Like he doesn't talk about rapture and lovers in their rooms. this this is a very bold translator. I mean, it is what the poem's talking about, but not in these words. Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. Wasn't expecting to be so entertained by this. Oh, you say, it seems to be a guy waiting to receive an okay to go back to his wife's embrace. It's a romantic tantrum. Interesting. Hmm. I'm not sure this is a wife though. It feels a bit uh more like a premarital kind of situation here. Yeah. Yeah, just when it's like when will your shy face peer around a moon-shaped fan, and your voice be heard hushing the rattle of my carriage. So I think you're right. It's more of a kind of romantic tantrum thing, but I don't know. Is it bad to say this feels more like a FWB kind of situation? I don't know. It's kind of strange. I think they are something's going on, but they're not in a committed relationship yet. That's my vibe. Yeah. Something's going on. Yeah. Okay. But next, storms are ravishing the nut horns. What? So storms, okay. I think these are like what? Lychee? But nut horns should be lychee. Okay, some kind of plant, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, so sorry, not this one. Storms are ravishing. Yeah, some plant, right? Let's just say nut horns then. Like the storms are it says the storms do not believe that the nut horns are weak, and the moon dew. What? Okay, moon dew sweetening cinnamon leaves. Sure. This has to be sexual innuendo, right? Like, right? Anyway, I know well enough naught can come of this union, yet how it serves to ease my heart. Isn't this just a hookup? Like, isn't this what he's saying? He's just like, oh man, I don't think this is gonna be a real relationship, but I'm not gonna finish that sentence. Yeah. Okay. Wow. This. Okay. I think you no need to pretend what it's not. That's not about sex. I think it's pretty clear. Okay. Let's just go to the famous critics. Okay, at this point, I'm not sure if they're back together though, or if he's just like trying to seduce her basically over text, right? He's trying to write a poem and like say, oh, we had such good times, and yeah, uh, and I want to be with you again. You're like an angel to me. Oh, this was a very shocking. We had to go through all like it's just I've never seen a poem like this in the rest of the collection. So just it's very fitting that this is on the final day. It's yeah, grand finale. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't think there's much to say based on the famous critics. Yeah, and Danica says it is about sex. Yes, I agree. Well, this guy is quite an interesting poet. Yeah. So I used to thought he was not very interesting, but I used to think he wasn't very interesting, but quite a bold guy. Okay, now let's move on to the next 5 poems then. The last 5, and this is by Wen Ting Yun. Wen Ting Yun, 利州南渡, near the 利州 ferry. So 淡然空水对斜晖，曲岛苍茫皆翠微。波上马斯看捉去，柳边人歇待船归。树丛沙草群鸥散，万顷江田一路飞。水解乘舟寻泛离，五湖烟水独望鸡。The sun has set in the water's clear void, and little blue islands are one with the sky. On the bank, a horse neighs, a boat goes by. People gather at a willow clump and wait for the ferry. Down by the sand bushes, seagulls are circling. Over the wide river lands flies an egret. Can you guess why I sail, like an ancient wise lover, through the misty 5 lakes, forgetting words? Where does he get this ancient wise lover? Must be like this Fan Li or something, right? I think there's a reference here which he just translated. He just gave us what the reference means instead of the name. So let's look at the context. Hey, pretty brief and straightforward. It's just this Wen Ting Yun didn't have a very good political career, didn't do well in his exams despite many tries, and he said a lot of things that pissed people off, and so he offended the emperor and the prime minister. Not great. And yeah, so he was forced to just wander because he doesn't have a job, right? He's not going to get a job. And yeah, he's just a man. And this is just when he was crossing a river and he wrote this. So, if you don't do well in your exams and you offend everyone, then yeah, clearly you're not going to get a job. Yeah. But at least your poems are good. Okay, next part. So let's go line by line. The sun has set in the water's clear void. Okay, the place it is near Lizhou ferry, right? So the sun has set in the water's clear void, and the little blue islands are one with the sky. On the bank, river bank, right? On the bank, a horse neighs, a boat goes by. People gather at a willow clump and wait for the ferry. Hey, just like a very simple scene so far. Down by the sand bushes, seagulls are circling. Over the wide river lands flies an egret. So a lot of description here. I'm searching for like, what's the point? So it feels like the point is in these last two lines, but we need to look at the references. So can you guess why I sail like an ancient wise lover through the misty five lakes, forgetting words? So what is the ancient wise lover? It's Fan Li. Not sure why it doesn't say much about lover. He's just a from the spring and autumn period, which is BC's, right? Before like third century BC and earlier. So he was a minister, it seems, for the Yue, state of Yue. And he helped him actually to take over the Wu state. And after that, after he succeeded in that, he quit and then he just went on a boat ride, touring the five lakes. And yeah, so then rather the five rivers, the five lakes here. Okay, five lakes. Then this next part, let's talk about the five lakes. It's just after this guy. Okay, it's exactly the same as before. So he's just it's just a place where this Fan Li person was touring. Well, that's not super helpful, is it? Huh. So is he literally just describing his tour with no? Well, I guess there is this part, right? It's like, can you guess why I sail like that guy, Fan Li, through the five lakes, forgetting words? What is this forgetting words part? Which seems to say, I mean, for this Fan Li person, it's because he succeeded, right? He did very well at his job. Whereas this guy couldn't even get a job. So the comparison seems kind of weak here. Huh. But maybe in both cases, there's a suggestion here in this page where it says he's just trying to avoid like all this competition. He just wants some peace. Right. And I guess in both cases, it's a departure from the political world. He just wants to, yeah, I guess just lead a peaceful life from now on, a peaceful and simple life. Okay, that's pretty good actually. So if we take that and we read back the previous lines, let me see if you have any comments first. Let's say, what do you say? A carefree house, a brothel? Wait, is this the previous one? Nah, I don't think it's a brothel. No, no, no. Yeah. Oh, I think the English translation makes it seem like it, but actually it could be. Oh, that's kind of gross then. I don't know. Well, I hope not. I hope at least it's like a actual relationship he's having with a girl than like just like yeah, that sort of arrangement. Yeah, okay. Interesting. Okay. And sorry, it took me a while to reply. I think it's just, as you know, there's a bit of a lag between me talking and me seeing your comments. So yeah. Okay, but so moving back to this then, if he wants to move out of politics, then how would all the red lines above be recontextualized? It's like the sun has set in the water's clear void, and little blue islands are one with the sky. On the bank, a horse neighs, a boat goes by. People gather at a willow clump and wait for the ferry. I don't know, this just seems like really simple life. Like he's really just describing like this really small things, right? And here, I don't, this is kind of uncommon, I think. When he talks about people, usually you describe the scenery, right? Because you want to, when you're projecting your emotions on it. But here he says, he describes people gather at a willow clump and wait for the ferry. Maybe he's waiting for something as well. Maybe. Right, next, down by the sand bushes, seagulls are circling. Over the white river, lands flies an egret. I don't know. I think it's a bit too, maybe it's a bit too subtle for me. I don't quite get it. But it does seem like he's just describing like a peaceful scene and how he wants to leave politics. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. I don't know. Nothing really seems very uh, helpful here. I think maybe just the final line, the Wang Ji, because there is something I think is missing in translation here. I think Ji, so here it says forgetting words, right? But the Ji, I think it is actually closer to saying forgetting about, yeah, like machinations, like planning, plotting. So here it's just like maybe more about being spontaneous. I think here maybe then that would make more sense. It's like the sun is, it's like the processes of nature are sort of spontaneous and unplanned, right? But then that's kind of weird. That doesn't really fit with like waiting for the ferry. Yeah. But maybe it's just about waiting, this line. Yeah. And maybe here about the flying is about freedom. And that's why, like, that's the vibe he's trying to go for. So why, so it's like, can you guess why I sail? Like an ancient wise lover, blah, 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 right? So the why, the answer is just because then I don't have to think so much anymore. I can just be patient, wait for what comes, and enjoy my freedom. So, I mean, at any rate, it's just like, if he's asking a question, and here it is a question word, right? He's like, who understands or who can interpret why I blah, 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 blah. So he's asking a question here. And I think if he's asking a question, the answer must be present in this seemingly unrelated 6 lines of landscape. So, or like, or maybe not just landscape, but yeah, just description. So I do think he is sort of giving the answer in himself, but in a very like subtle way. Yeah. Okay, that's pretty interesting. I think I run the risk of overreading, but I do think it will be a pretty bad poem if he's just saying like, look at all the things I see, and then oh, I'm touring the lake. Like it'll be like the postcard vibes again, right? He's just describing what he sees, which is not bad, but I think it was lack a sort of like poetic unity if he is not really answering his own question. Yeah. Yeah. So hmm. Hmm. Okay, I don't see anything super useful here. Then let's move on. How many more poems do we have? Okay, 4 more. Let's close some of the earlier ones then. Okay. So it should be here, right? Okay. By Wen Ting Yun again, the Temple of Su Wu. Okay, you have a comment here. The poem seems to be that he is lonely despite living in society like everyone else. Hmm. But it does seem like he's choosing to be alone, right? Or he's choosing to sail the 5 lakes. I guess you're saying the loneliness because there's the single horse and then the egret. Yeah. I guess the poem, the central theme has to be around this final question now. Yeah, just because everything else is kind of random. It's just like the scenery. So I would read it more as just why he's sort of abandoning, again, this D, abandoning machinations, like planning, plotting, politics, basically, right? Abandoning politics. Yeah. And, okay. Maybe I'll just move on to this next one. So Temple of Su Wu, Su Wu Miao. So 苏武魂霄，汉史前，古辞高树两茫然，云边雁断胡天月。陇上阳归色草烟，回日楼台飞甲帐。赤石冠剑是丁年，茂林不见封侯印。空向秋波哭逝川。Though our envoy Su'u is gone, body and soul, this temple survives, these trees endure. Wild geese through the clouds are still calling to the moon there, and hill sheep unshepherded graze along the border. Returning, he found his country changed, since with youthful cap and sword he had left it. His bitter adventures had won him no title. Autumn waves endlessly sob in the river. So first is, of course, who is this Su person? And what's the context, right? Okay, the context is just he saw the temple. The poet saw the temple. And who is Su Wu? He is a apparently he was an envoy to the Xiongnu, who are like the tribal people, the non-Chinese tribal people. And as an envoy, this Su Wu person was like detained and forced him many times to surrender, but he refused. And so after that, he was like forced to go become a shepherd. And by the time he could return to his home, it was like 19 years. So it's just someone who's very wow. I mean, that's not easy, right? Yeah, really. So 19 years. Wow. So then, though our envoy, Su is gone, body and soul, this temple survives, these trees endure. Wild geese through the clouds are still calling to the moon there, and hill sheep unshepherded graze along the border. I see the sheep because he was a shepherd, right? That's interesting. So wild geese through the clouds are still calling to the moon there. I think the moon there is like where the Xiongnu were. Yeah, the what's called like the barbarians, right? But it's not obviously not a very nice term nowadays. Yeah. Just the non-Chinese peoples, right? And returning, he found his country changed, since with youthful cap and sword he had left it. His bitter adventures had won him no title. Autumn waves endlessly sob in the river. Okay, I think well, now that we know the Su story, this seems pretty straightforward. But I think this last part interests me the most, where it says his bitter adventures had won him no title, which reminds me of this person's own story, right? This Wen Tingyun, who tried for very many times in the examinations, and he didn't do well, and he never got an official position. So, and again, I don't think this Su person doesn't seem that well known. So I think there is something that really drew Wen Tingyun to write about Su. And I think it is this similarity of like, trying so hard, but, with very little to show for it all. Yeah. And next, and then finally, this autumn waves endlessly sob in the river. It's like, I think to invoke this kind of reaction in him, like in the poet has to empathize, has to feel he has to see himself in this story in some way, right? Yeah. You said, I thought he is marrying someone out of duty to be functional. I don't think there was at least the context. Is it this one or the previous one? But this one, I don't see anything. And then Jose says, Su returned empty-handed after going for years. It didn't matter at the end. Right? So it's like, wow, it's 19 freaking years, like just not cracking, like just, and then like nothing, right? Like no recognition. And then you said, the autumn waves sound like the autumn of his life. Oh, that's interesting. That would make sense, right? It's just because he started as a young person, right? With his youthful cap, and he comes back old. So it does make sense to compare himself as his autumn years. That's really interesting. Wow, that's great. That's great. Okay. Yeah. I'll just go to the famous critics, and meanwhile, and also see if you have any more comments. Okay. So they keep talking about lines 5 and 6. This one. Returning, he found his country changed, since with youthful cap and sword he had left it. Yeah, wow. That's really sad. Yeah. Okay. I don't think there's much else here. So maybe we can move on to the next one then. Okay. So then this is the Xue Feng, a palace poem. Yeah, 宫词. All right, so why don't we start with this? 12楼中进小庄 望仙台上望君王，所衔金兽连环冷，水滴铜龙画漏长，云高罢书还对镜，罗衣日换更添香，遥会正殿连开处，炮库工人扫日床。In 12 chambers, the ladies, decked for the day, peer afar for their lord from their fairy view lodge. The golden toad guards the lock on the door chain, and the bronze dragon water clock drips through the morning, till one of them, tilting a mirror, combs her cloud of hair, and chooses new scent and a change of silk raiment. For she sees, between screen panels, deep in the palace, eunuchs in court dress preparing a bid. So a palace poem. So this is quite an established type of poem as well. Just poem from the perspective of the, I guess, the concubines living in the royal palace. And as I said before, it's kind of weird because the people writing them are all men. So it's sounds kind of a, I don't know, yeah, just feel like they're projecting things onto this, but let's go through it and see what's going on. Okay, this is just like he worked in the palace, so he kind of knows what's going on. I mean, how can you really know what's going on with the concubines, right? Like, so in 12 chambers, the ladies, decked for the day, peer afar for their lord from their fairy view lodge. So the 12 chambers are just yeah, where the ladies live. And then the fairy view lodge, it's just a place in the palace. Okay, it's not a big deal. And the golden toad guards the lock on the door chain. The golden toad is just a decoration, I think. Right, it's just like the, if you've ever seen those Chinese doors in the palace, it's like, you know, there's the ring, right, where you can like the handle, but there's also the decorative like animal with a mouth, and it's the mouth where the ring is here. Yeah, so that's just a description, yeah. And the bronze dragon water clock drips through the morning. So remember, back in the day, they used water to, yeah, measure time. So it's just a water clock. It's maybe it's worth looking at that. It's pretty cool. I don't know, how would I say this? If I Google this, it should be fine, right? Kind of traumatized by those Google images. Okay, this doesn't really show like water clock, but I mean, we've seen those, right? Okay, I guess this is from the West, but yeah. Anyway, water is a clock that runs on water. Yeah. Okay. And here we have the, yeah, again, the cloud of hair again. So that we talked about last time. Okay. And choose, okay, so till one of them tilting a mirror, combs a cloud of hair, and chooses new scent and a change of silk raiment. So changes her clothes. For she sees between screen panels, deep in the palace, eunuch in court dress preparing a bid. Not sure what the last line is doing. I think the bid is for the emperor. What's the point of this? I guess they're just like doing nothing. So the famous critics are saying it's a critique of how it's like how, so they're just doing nothing, basically, right? And usually, so here the political interpretation could be that the girls are like the ministers and they're waiting for the emperor, but the emperor is not making good use of them. So yeah, they feel like the ministers feel like they're just doing nothing. So I guess the sense being here is just that the girls are very bored. The sense being conveyed here. Yeah. It seems kind of like a pointless poem to me though. Like, I just don't really like it. Okay, I'll look at the famous critics one more time. Or maybe we can just move on. But I don't see much in this actually. Right here, here it says, yeah, it's supposed to say how the ministers are super bored. And it's slightly satirical. Yeah. Okay, I think here the political interpretation is the one that would actually give the poem meaning. So I'll just go with that here. Because if not, it just seems like utterly pointless. Yeah. Okay, then let's move on to the next one then. By Qin Tao Rü, Ping Yu. So a poor girl. 蓬门未识绮罗香，拟托良媒意自伤。谁爱风流高格调，共怜时事简梳妆。敢将食指夸针巧，不把双眉斗画长。苦恨年年压金线，为他人作嫁衣裳。Living under a thatched roof, never wearing fragrant silk, she longs to arrange a marriage, but how could she dare? Who would know her simple face, the loveliest of them all, when we choose for worldliness and not for worth? Her fingers embroider beyond compare, but she cannot vie with painted brows. And year after year, she has sewn gold thread on bridal robes for other girls. Okay, I'm leaning towards a political reading as well, just because this guy seems like really bitter about it. But it feels like he's like, I'm the loveliest of them all because I am the worthiest minister, but they don't value me. Well, let's look at the context. Oh, is there no context here? Oh, I guess not. Or maybe something about the author. But yeah, he worked very hard, didn't really do too well. Okay, he did get a pretty good position though. He did do well in the exams in the end, so that's not terrible. Yeah. Right. So here it says on the surface, it's about a poor girl who I guess it's difficult for her to find someone, but also about how he feels he's very talented, but he's not being recognized. Yeah. Let's see. Because I just find it hard to believe that he would have so much sympathy for like a poor girl who can't find a man, like this guy's a scholar, like this guy's a nerd. Like I'm not sure he is so involved in the emotional lives of like poor peasant women. All right, well, let's see. Go through this again. Living under a thatched roof, never wearing fragrant silk, she longs to arrange a marriage, but how could she dare? Who would know her simple face, the loveliest of them all, when we choose for worldliness, not for worth? Her fingers embroider beyond compare, but she cannot vie with painted brows, and year after year she has sewn gold thread on bridal robes for other girls. I think the last part is really sad though. It's like she really wants to have someone, but she has to keep. It's like you're just seeing other people succeeding, but being so close to that success, but you've not, but it not happening to you. That's really sad. Yeah. Wow. I don't think there's much to say about this poem. It's pretty straightforward, but I do think I actually quite like this. I think really this last line is really good. Yeah. You say, hmm, okay. So uh okay, I'm gonna go through famous critics here and now look at Danica's comment about the previous poem. And we can go to the last one for today. So that's the famous comments first. Apparently it's very famous. And yeah, this says, oh yeah, he's said that his talent is not recognized. And so he talks about this poor girl as a way to talk about himself. So, yep. Yeah, that's all of them say that actually. Almost all of them are. Yeah. Okay, I think that's kind of it then. Let's move back to the previous one. Danica says, water seems to go faster than sand. So this is about the water clock, right? So can it be interpreted as anxiety from meeting the emperor or vice versa? That's interesting. That's interesting, right? Because like if you emphasize the clock dripping, it could be anxiety. It's like if you have a movie and it just shows the clock and it's like ticking, 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 ticking. Like it really does build a certain sort of tension, right? Interesting. Yeah, that is possible actually. Hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. That is very possible. Hmm. Okay. Maybe shall we just do this final poem? Since it's about, yeah, I think then we'll be doing pretty good on time as well. So yeah, since I imagine it's actually pretty late for you guys. Okay, so now this is Shen, 全期 beyond seeing, 古期成补却乔之之 this is Lu, right? 卢家少妇忧 诶 sorry 卢家少妇日金香，海燕霜，夕带茂凉。9月寒针催木叶，10年征伐易辽阳。白狼河北，白狼河北阴书断，丹凤城南秋夜长。谁为寒愁独不见？更教明月照流黄。So this is weird. This is a variant, but it looks exactly the same here. So I guess we can just ignore the note. Okay, so let's look at the English. A girl of the Lu clan who lives in Goldenwood Hall, where swallows perch in pairs on beams of tortoise shell. Hears the washing mallet's cold beat shake the leaves down. The Liaoyang expedition will be gone 10 years, and messages are lost in the White Wolf River. Here in the city of the Red Phoenix, autumn nights are long, where one who is heartsick to see beyond seeing sees only moonlight on the yellow silk wave of her loom. What? This is a love poem, right? Okay, what does this even mean? The title seems uh hmm. Uh, So this is actually a poem presented to someone else. So the title, it should be like the ancient meaning, uh, or presented to this 乔知之补切, which is just an official, so it's just like magistrate 乔知之 or something, right? Okay, so I guess the title is not very useful, so we have to look at the text itself. So a girl of the Lu clan who lives in Goldenwood Hall. So it's just so this is not just a girl, but it's actually a wife. So it's specified this is a married woman who's young, a young married woman. The Lu thing is just I think it's just a reference. It's not an actual person. As a reference, but he's not trying to describe an actual person here. It's a literary allusion to some other poem. Yeah. And then the Goldenwood Hall, it just means a place, a house that's painted with a kind of fragrance. It just makes things smell nice. I mean, yeah, that's what fragrance means, but yeah, I guess it's just a house that smells nice because of some special paint. Yeah. Okay, then. And the swallows perch in pairs on beams of tortoise shell. So, yeah, okay, that's just the house is very nicely decorated. Then, so here's the washing mallet's cold beat shake the leaves down. So that would mean, I don't know, I mean just washing mallets, like when they're washing their clothes. I guess just really loud. Next, the Liao, yeah, all right, this is the weird stuff. Okay, the Liaoyang expedition will be gone 10 years. Liaoyang, okay. Doesn't explain what the expedition is doing. But I suspect this is the husband is going on this expedition. Right, it is. It is. So it says is missing the husband who has been on expedition at Liaoyang for 10 years. Oh, 10 years. That's crazy. Okay. And messages are lost in the White Wolf River. Just a river. Okay. And here in the city of the Red Phoenix, autumn nights are long. So this is just the capital, Chang'an. Just another name because in the past, yeah, there's just some story that Phoenix has visited the capital. And so all capitals are also called Phoenix cities. Okay. And where one who is heartsick to see beyond seeing sees only moonlight on the yellow silk wave of her loom. All right, so this one, you can see it's talking about a married person here because it's very like, when we talk about like weaving and like washing mallet, like washing clothes, a lot of housework, and also just that there's this character which just says 少妇, it would mean like wife, yeah, no more than just woman, even though it says so here. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure it's talking about a wife. And it's about how she misses her husband who's been gone for 10 years at yeah, Liaoyang. Okay. And yeah, let's see. Hmm. So she's obviously pretty rich, right? So it's a pretty well-to-do girl. I mean, she's living in, I don't know, this place with special paint and her beams, the houses like beams are like has like fancy material, tortoise shell. So yeah, and she is just that, but then she misses her husband who has been, I guess should be past tense here, but has been gone for 10 years. And she doesn't get any messages because they're lost. Wow, that sucks. That's really terrible. And here in the capital, autumn nights are long. And where one who is heartsick to see beyond seeing sees only moonlight on the yellow silk wave on her loom, of her loom. Oh wow, that's really good. So she just wants to see her husband, but all she sees are the moonlight, is the moonlight. Wow, damn. And again, you remember that the moon is a symbol for love, right? Or just like longing, because no matter how far you are, you're all looking at the same moon. So even then, it is really good. This last line, last two lines. Can you imagine being gone for 10 years and like not having any way to contact your husband? That's so sad. Mm, okay. So maybe we can just look at the famous critics now. Yeah. Uh, so hmm, actually not much. Nothing very useful here. Um, yeah, it's not a very spectacular ending to the whole series. I'm just like, oh, there's nothing much to say. Yeah, but yeah, I guess it is what it is. It is just, I think it's a really beautiful poem. I think, yeah, just sad, the situation. Like, wow, I think 10 years, that's really crazy. Hmm. Well, I guess I will just wrap up this whole series then. So yeah, thanks so much for those of you who have been like watching this series regularly for, has it been 6 months? I guess it must have been, yeah. So thanks so much. And I hope it was fun for you to really be able to go through this whole collection. So I think very few people actually read all 320 poems. So yeah, if you get through the whole series, I think you are, yeah, it is quite an achievement. And yeah, I mean, of course, I'm not an expert. I can't claim to have given like a good analysis or explanation of any of the poems, but I do hope it was helpful having me around to just at least translate some of the Chinese Wikipedia pages and some historical allusions. And yeah, give my very opinionated take on some poems. Yeah. So yeah, thanks so much again. And as yeah, really nice to like really thankful that you guys always share your thoughts in the live chat. Because if not, it would have been a lot more painful than it turned out to have been. So this was actually quite fun. And yeah, do let me know if you have other things you want to read together. So I did get a suggestion for this one, this 3-character book. And then maybe I might even do the Analects, so by Confucius, right? So, or if you want, we could do The Art of War or 36 Strategies, things like that. Yeah, so but for this, maybe let's look at how this would go. Yeah, so this will be pretty short. I don't think I would probably do it in like a few weeks. Yeah. Yeah. So this is important just because it's yeah, it's just a very classic text that kids are meant to memorize, like Chinese kids are supposed to memorize as a way to understand the important parts of like just how to be a good person and like sort of cultural essentials, right? So it's about history, about classic texts, about illustrious figures. So it might be kind of fun to read. But I'll be going on a holiday first, so it's not going to be so soon. But yeah, but regardless, yeah, again, thanks so much for just being here. And yeah, if you enjoyed this, okay, this is very cringe, but yeah, please comment. Please just comment on the video. I think even though the live chat is very great, I think the algorithm actually prefers some comments. So if you could just say like, I don't know, if you enjoyed it, just say, oh, I really enjoyed this series and things like that. Yeah. So, but other than that, yeah, just really thankful to have been able to go through all this and to read through the poems with you. And yeah, I do hope to see you all soon. I will be making more videos as well. And yeah, I hope to interact with you more in future live streams. Yeah, I think it's a very different mode of just videos is very like one way. It's like I make the video and then you have comments, right? But this, I think is really cool, just being able to interact with you just actually interact, I guess. Yeah. So, all right, enough blabbering from me. All right. So thanks again. And yeah, I'll see you around. All right. Bye-bye.